burden is burden
We need you. You, dear Chance, are needed. Behind lines, I conjure, and you contrive. Crossroads, convergence. Dear Chance, meet him at the roads, in the unknown, in profound mystery, in guidance, enlightened, endarkened. I thank you. Brilliant husband. You plan and you plan meticulously.
I'm a traveler, baby, travel all the time. I'm a traveler, baby, travel with my mind. Travel with my mind so I never leave you behind. 'Cause I love you. Yeah, travel with you in mind, so I never leave you behind. I'm a traveler, baby. I'm always on the go, as you know. I'm a traveler, baby, to where I just don't know sometimes. I just like to see how the world encapsulates me all around. I just like to see how the world surrounds me. Yeah. 'Cause I'm a traveler, baby, I'm a traveler, and the spirit moves me back into your arms. 'Cause I'm a traveler, baby. I saw a man running toward the horizon, running hard, running fast. They said, man, you can't catch that horizon. They looked at him and laughed, as people do, you know. He said, you lie, you lie, you lie. And he simply ran on, running toward the horizon, running hard, running fast, forgetting his past. 'Cause he's a traveler, baby, he's a traveler, and the spirit moved him Spirit moved him to touch the sun. 'Cause he's a traveler, baby. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And we are travelers. And the Spirit moves us. Spirit moves us, and inspires us to fly. We are travelers, baby. Yeah. I'm a traveler like a rolling stone. Where I lay my heart is my home. Can't help that I like to roam. I'm a traveler. When I'm traveling, I'm never alone. When I'm traveling, I'm never alone. When I'm traveling, I'm never alone. When you're with me, you are my home. We can fly high, so high we can touch the sky. Don't you wanna go to a place no one knows? Baby, can't you see what your love has done to me? Don't you wanna fly? Come on now, baby, just to give it a try. We're traveling. Don't you wanna travel and see? La 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 la. La la, watch me now. We're traveling, baby. Don't you wanna travel and see? One more time, we're traveling. Don't you wanna travel with me?
Yeah. Come on.
Lindsey.
Yes, Lindsey.
Yes. I want to travel with you.
I want to travel. People are going home today, so we about to be traveling anyway.
We're going to be traveling anyway, but I want to be traveling with Lindsey.
Yes,
Thank
I want
you
to travel
so
with
much.
you.
Rock on, sister.
I'm ready to fly. I'm ready
Rock
to travel.
on.
Look, brought us in. Lindsey Wilson, everybody. Please, round of applause again.
Lindsey Wilson.
Ah.
And I am Nori Rost.
I am J. Exodus Hooper.
And we get the privilege of doing this every Wednesday at the New York Society for Ethical Culture. And with Lindsey, we get the privilege every Wednesday of hearing this fabulous music with her.
Indeed.
And being on this journey, traveling together. And
Yes.
Ethics Unplugged. Yes.
So yes, welcome to Ethics Unplugged.
this is
Make
Ruby.
yourself at home.
Yes.
This is how we do things here. You get a little comfortable. We kick into some music. We kick into some songs and poetry.
And conversation.
Yeah, and conversation. Ooh, it's
And
about
we want to take, it's Ethics Unplugged. We want to take a look at humanism and humanity in a different vein than perhaps you're used to in your own particular local communities. And even it's certainly different than New York Society on a Sunday morning.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Look, that's why it's unplugged.
That's why it's unplugged.
Let's give y'all some beautiful opening words. Find yourself to be centered, if you will. Ground yourself, whatever posture feels most meaningful for you. I was telling you, Nori, you found this amazing piece.
I know, but I want you to start with your piece first because I think this will go better after.
Oh, okay. Well, so we just recently watched a bit of a video. That video actually has what's called a veve. A veve is the image that is drawn for Haitian Voodoo. And so that particular image regards a African spirit guide named Elegba. And Elegba handles the crossroad. Elegba is also interested in giving healthy messages, so people can make the best decision, if not the ethical decision. So why do I bring that up? Because we are at a time in this conference talking about the crossroads. And I would be remiss of me if I did not try to offer you some kind of cultural wisdom from a tradition and people that I come from who came from a transatlantic slavery into enslavement and brought these stories.
Yes.
Along as resistance, as long as their offspring continue to fight for justice and freedom. So here's what I offer you. It's called an odu. An odu is a proverb. And so in this Odu, I will deal with the crossroads. The world was being created by these 7 Orishas, these spirit guides, if you will, and they were making the earth. The unique thing about them is that all of them had different things that they had to do. Some were building the land, some were building, creating birds, and some were creating people. And it's just multiple spirit guides trying to make this thing happen. But there's one that everybody picks on. Her name is Oshun. She's only interested in love and beauty.
I like her.
Oh, I love her a lot. She's fabulous,
Love
darling.
and beauty.
Right?
Love energy.
Love
That's
and
what
beauty.
Then he said last night.
Right?
Love energy.
That love energy.
Yeah.
She works in love and beauty. That's what her thing is. And so what she does immediately is she's walking around and everybody's picking on her, and all of a sudden she's insulted. So what does she do? Because also she is a spirit guide. So if you want to go find her, she's near the river all the time.
Right.
So like any river, she decided to just rise with the tide and was like,
go.
I'm going to go sit on the moon because y'all are insulting me. She sits down and goes and powders her face on the moon. Now, everything that the other Orishas are trying to make and create starts falling apart.
Say it.
Everything, literally. The ground is crumbling, the river is drying up, the sky is looking kind of faded, humans are all in disarray, and it is a terrible moment. And all of a sudden, the Orishas get so frustrated at the falling apart, at the deconstruction, to the point where they call out to the Supreme, and they're like, hey, why you send us down here if ain't nothing gonna be growing? Why you sending us down here and nothing is being made and nothing is staying together? And the Supreme looks and says, where is love?
Well,
where is beauty? And he looks amongst them and he doesn't see them. All of a sudden, the Orisha of love and beauty steps down. Attitude.
got it.
Very Aretha Franklin-like.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it.
Okay. She had her Prada shoes on that
Yes,
day.
yes now.
And what she does is she gets down and the rest of them, they're of course humbled at this moment because they realize that she's valuable.
Yep.
Ooh, love is valuable.
I'm
Beauty
saying.
is valuable. And all of a sudden, they all start apologizing. They try to make it right. They say, no, we're sorry. And guess what? In this present moment, what she does, she looks at them. She doesn't even accept the apology. Watch this. She says, don't let it happen again.
All right. Don't let it happen again.
She's not even interested in that level of forgiveness. She's interested in restorative process.
There you go.
And what she says in that moment is she's so frustrated. She says, don't let it happen again. And her irritation, she turns in on herself only to birth who is called Elegba, the individual at the crossroads.
The individual at the crossroads. Love and beauty
The
at the
crossroad is between love and beauty. She inverses that and gives it a new meaning, and she has this child, and this child is always at the crossroads. We either have a love at the crossroad, or we either have beauty at the crossroad. But it's all rooted in what I like to say a good ethic.
A good ethic.
Because it has to match. Love has to match what we want to see in the world. Right? Beauty has to match what we want to see in the world. So that's the Odu. And I offer y'all, as we look at this conference today, as we looked at throughout the week, we are at a crossroads and a collective future. So what is our future when we decide to turn in on ourselves, if I will, right? So, that's...
You know, and I have a poem that I do think goes really well with that, but I'm also reminded of this quote by Charlie Chaplin that I actually just posted on Facebook. And he said, Charlie Chaplin said, you only need power if you're going to cause harm. Otherwise, love is all you need. Love will get it done. Love and beauty is what you need.
Come on.
Right there. And so many times we see people going for power, but you only need power if you're going to cause harm. But in this poem, I found this poem, Good Bones by Maggie Smith. Probably some of you have heard it. I first discovered it right before the Pulse shooting, and it spoke very deeply to me then. And I think it speaks to the work that we're called to do as humanists. Good Bones by Maggie Smith. Life is short, though I keep this from my children. Life is short, and I've shortened mine in 1,000 delicious, ill-advised ways. 1,000 deliciously ill-advised ways I'll keep from my children. The world is at least 50% terrible, and that's a conservative estimate, though I keep this from my children. For every bird, there is a stone thrown at a bird. For every loved child, a child broken, bagged, sunk in a lake. Life is short, and the world is at least half terrible, and for every kind stranger, there is one who would break you, though I keep this from my children. I am trying to sell them this world. Any decent realtor walking you through a real shithole chirps on about good bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You could make this place beautiful. And I think that in this shithole of a world where we're living today, another mass shooting in Dallas, there are still good bones.
Come on.
And it's up to us in all of our various humanist identifications to say, I'm going to make this place beautiful. And we're going to come together at the crossroads with love and beauty and make this place beautiful.
Look, you bringing in bones. This is very root on.
Right on. Right on, right?
No, but I think that's, we need good bones. We definitely do. And we need to think about the bones that we bring to the place, right? Not every bone is the same.
That's
and I
right.
think if we all think about ourselves in some kind of way, we bring a philosophical bone, we bring an activist bone, we bring a listening bone, we bring a pastoral bone, and congregational, a secular bone. All of that just works together.
Yes.
Right? In healthy functions to help us make connections. And I think that this is one of the things that I have been really interested in trying to, as we've been in the conference, I mean, like we're at a crossroads.
Yes, we
and
are.
I think this is not just the AHA, this is the movement as a whole.
This is actually humanity as a whole. And we as humanists, tell me who, because I mentioned this yesterday and you remembered who said it, but in the Humanist Collaboratory on Thursday, the day before the conference started, who was it that said that the best definition of religion he had heard was it's the condition of humans living and knowing they're going to die. That's the definition of religion.
Yes.
The human condition of being alive and knowing you're going to die. And that's, we a lot of us shy away from the word religion, but isn't that also the definition of our own deepest humanity, is knowing we're living and knowing we're going to die?
I mean, one of the biggest things I said, I was having a conversation with my dear sister who was sitting beside me, Maggie, and I was just, expressing that, like, as you're talking about this kind of reflection on, like, I call it breath work for humanists, to know that when we breathe in, we are focusing on, kind of our religious humanism. We are taking in, right? And the thing that we put out when we breathe out, the exhale, is the secular humanism.
Yes.
Right? It shows up in the activism. It shows up. And so there's a breath work, because I got to do the work on the inside when I breathe in.
And also you're breathing in, you're kind of breathing in the toxins, the carbon monoxide of the world.
And you release.
And you're transforming it into oxygen.
Yeah. And that's a fascinating concept. And I was just like, that's what humanism is.
Yes.
It's even if you are secular or religious, or sometimes we use the word congregational, those two work together.
Yes.
To power ourselves as a movement.
Yes.
And finally, we need to figure out how to join them and lock them together to get the work done.
I kind of have some quotes that I circled from the weekend here, but one that I really think is a good one to ask at this crossroads, the Chicago Ethical Table had on their, they had like butcher block paper, has a little tablecloth, and they had written the question, what kind of humanism is needed for the 21st century? And Drew said at the opening event that the days of the country club armchair humanism are over.
Come on, that part. It is, and I think the more that we actually think about it, humanism is in a place where it has to shift its relationship because it has always been oftentimes rooted in the act of service to focus on those in the trenches. Now, some would be like, oh, well, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we're not careful, it becomes a white savior complex.
Yes.
Did I hurt somebody's ears? It does, because in the end, we're only operating from a space in which we only want to offer service.
Yeah.
But
or
not
a check. We want to give you a
right?
check.
We want to give you a check.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't want to be in relationship
Yes.
with you. We want you to keep your transness over there. I don't want,
Yeah.
because I don't know your pronouns very well. I might mess up, and if I mess up, that messes with white supremacy culture.
Right.
Right? Because I got to say this thing right.
And I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to be embarrassed because so I'm not going to call you, I'm just not going to call you anything.
I'm not going to call you
Yeah, 'cause
anything.
I don't want to mess with my white privilege and get called out or called in on it.
Look, right? And so this idea of perfectionism and not process, not just practice, right? We begin to push on that more when we begin to get in relationship. We can't read our way out of racism.
No, we cannot.
We cannot use literature as liberation.
That was somebody said that in the collaboratory too, is like, what are we going to try to read ourselves into relationship? Maybe it was even you, I don't know, but I wrote it down.
Look,
we're going to read ourselves into relationship. I saw this quote that said another black man gets killed and white people have another book study.
Look, if that was the case, we would have all been born with a manual, right?
But you know what? The other thing that we need to remember about humanism is it's about our stories. And Dave Warnock talked about that yesterday, about what is your story and who's writing your story, right? But I find it interesting that a lot of people identify as humanist or atheist kind of against religion, right? And so like many people come to humanism and they want to throw out the religion, right? What don't we like about the different religions? We don't like their dogma.
Yep.
We don't like their rules.
Yeah.
We don't like their white supremacy. But what often happens is that we actually throw out the true stories of those religions and we keep the dogma. And we keep the white supremacist systems and structures because it's just like air around us. We don't even see that we're doing it.
As I say, we have to think about every time our identity is always in relation to some kind of proximity of toxicity.
Yes, and if something goes wrong in the way we think it should go, we don't know what to do. We have a little video I want to show right now that kind of, I think, illustrates this really well.
The escalator, indeed. Yeah, that's a very interesting video.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's not enough left to do, is there?
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
Does that sound a little familiar? When our white systems of oppression and supremacy get broken down, we don't know what to do.
We don't know. We
We
really
think we're
don't.
stuck.
Yeah.
It's an escalator, baby.
Yeah.
You can actually walk up.
Walk up. And that's the thing. Like, what does it look like to step up to the plate right now?
Right.
What does it look like? We've had formations that we have set. We have put ourselves out here with visions of being able to say, like, we want to see strong leadership, younger folk, black folk,
Queer folk.
We know how to say a good tagline.
Fabulous folk.
But do we create systems? Do we have systems in place to hold them? Do we have systems in place? Or are we just looking at these, do we expect for everybody, I guess we expect for, like, just like the black man did. The black man was just standing there like, I guess I have to operate in the old man's guard.
Right.
He wasn't gonna move. But real power changers, they gonna walk up that escalator.
They're going to walk up, or they're going to walk down, or they're going to crawl over, but they're going to get there.
That part.
And it's so important for us at this crossroads to realize that our escalator's broken. But it's actually not the most quickest, expedient, best way to get progress anyway.
Yeah.
We can do it differently.
We can.
And this is where I'm going to tell you a story from a religious tradition, because the stories, religions are all metaphor. All religions are metaphor, in my view, right? Mm-hmm. In every age, people have asked the questions: where do we come from? What happens when we die? Why should we be good? And they answered it differently, but there were truths in how they answered it.
Yeah.
So in the Hebrew scriptures, after the Israelites had been enslaved, and Moses leads them out, but they're dying of thirst, and so God comes down from heaven and says, strike this rock, and water will flow. So they did. Moses did, struck the rock, water flowed. They all filled up their little BPA-free water bottles and went on.
Come
but
on,
then
water bottles.
later on, as towards the end of the journey, same thing's happening again. People are pissed off, once again complaining to the leader, right? You're doing it wrong. And God says, so this time he says, speak to the rock. Speak to the rock. But you know what? Moses couldn't do that. He was afraid. So he struck the rock again. He had an opportunity to create something new, but it was too scary, so he said, I'm just going to stick with the tried and true.
You better go with that. You better go to your room with that ancient wisdom.
That's a true story. It may not be truth, but it is a truth.
Yeah.
And what do? Where are we at this crossroad going to do the same old thing that we've done for the past 82 years? Or are we going to speak to the rock? Mm-hmm. Are we going to speak to the injustice? Are we going to speak to white supremacy? Are we going to speak to racism? Are we going to speak to transphobia? Are we going to speak to misogyny? Are we going to speak to the rights of women to have control over their own bodies?
Come on. Yes.
We got to do it differently today.
Yeah. Yes, we do. And it's time. It's so time that the air is right.
Yes.
The air is right. And
Yes.
when we look, we could look at all the polluted stuff that's happening. We could look at the shithole.
Yeah.
Okay? But at the end of the day, if we're committed to real humanist values around living ethically, being in right relationship, practicing listening within the formation of democracy.
Yes.
I can't talk to everybody. Everybody ain't democratic, because I don't know what that is sometimes.
I'm saying.
Right? But we've got to practice healthy listening where we decide to wrestle with each other. We need to be able to offer critique.
Yes. We need to call people in.
Come on.
We need to be able to tell our truths and not be polite. Right?
You know my whole framework about that, right? Because that's the issue with, I'm like, a lot of people are there's a difference for me between truth and honesty. People who live in honesty, they are so interested in making sure that they're polite. So they become passive aggressive.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't say what they really want to say or what they really mean. And I'm a person, I mean, let's just be real. Part of my life, I grew up in the South. Part of my life, I'm also from the Bronx. So then I've got this mixture. Like, I just want to hear the truth, right? And so when we're honest, people go, oh, well, Nori, I just wanted to come and talk to you. Something came up for me, right? And I'm like, and heaven forbid, I'm angry. Does that look like anger? No, I'm sad. No, I feel like that passive aggressiveness doesn't work for me.
I'll tell you what, this is how I experienced it when I was with Metropolitan Community Church, which is a queer Christian denomination. And there was a woman in my congregation who came from a very fundamentalist background. And she thought her fundamentalist background was right on everything except their view on homosexuality, right? And like the King James Version was the only version of the Bible. So she often at the end of the service would just walk by me. But maybe once every quarter, she'd say, I liked that sermon.
Right? Because it's the truth telling. And truth, if like I was sharing, for me, the difference is that truth helps us hold our triumphs.
Yes.
They help us handle our terrors.
Mm-hmm.
So we have triumph and terror, and at the same time, truth offers transparency.
Yes.
But you've got to want to be transparent and hold both the tension of your terrors and your triumphs.
Yes.
And when you offer folk that, you're able to move alongside. Me and Nicole was sitting in the back. Now we were trying to get some things together. We've been co-planning, communicating, and everything. And I will tell you, we had a real transparent moment. There was a real terror, because this show might not have happened the way that it was going to happen. I'm going to give a shout out to Ahmad for making this happen. And then we had there was a triumph in place. That it was like, I'm going to make it happen any way you need me to happen. I'm not going to, but Nicole knew I was going to be transparent enough to say, here's the triumph and here's the terror. Now, I love the fact that we got tables and stuff, but I was like, that's not how this works. And you know what? She heard me. Ahmad heard me. And I was met with my truth. Mm-hmm. Can you just imagine meeting, when somebody, what does it feel like when somebody meets you in your truth? Well, and you do not have to be in a space where you are compromised, but you lean into a space of collaboration.
Yes. That's what it's all about. And that's why, and so part of, I think, in our humanist identity, I think sometimes we get so bound up in what that is or is not, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And somebody in the collaboratory, I do think you know who this was, said, maybe we should de-emphasize our humanism and re-emphasize our humanity.
Oh, Dr. John Hooper.
Yeah.
Yeah. That brother was speaking some deep truth. He came with that wisdom. I was like, oh.
So
y'all give him a round of applause for that wisdom.
Yeah.
That's wisdom. I love my folk.
Yeah, because that's what it's about. We can get caught up in what kind of a humanist are you, or what kind of an atheist are you, or what kind of an agnostic are you, but we're all human. Mm-hmm. So if we can just emphasize our humanity instead of whatever label of the day we're wearing, mm-hmm. that's how we get things done.
Oh, yeah, that is how we get things done. I want us to think, as we get ready to move on, and we get ready to do our closing words, because I want to give y'all time to also ask some questions and be with us in a very unique way. But as you get ready to depart from this place, you're really not departing from anything other than an organization. You still have work to do. Mm-hmm. You still have work to do. And as you think about the work that you have to do, I want you to think about, what does your humanism call you to do?
What does your humanity call you to do, too?
Thank you,
yeah.
that. We can make that full adjustment. What does your humanity call you to do? Just reflect, if you will. Maybe it's just one word.
And when you look at the shithole of our world, where can you see below that to the good bones that you can build upon in your humanity? And we're going to do another little mind fuck with you.
Uh-oh. Ooh, my mind. It feels violated.
We're going to use another religious language. We're going to read a poem, Pray for Peace by Ellen Bass. Mm. And why don't you do the first?
I'll do the first one, because I like how materialistic she is about it. I like the descriptives. Pray for Peace by Ellen Bass. Pray to whoever you kneel down to. Jesus nailed to his wooden or plastic cross, his suffering face bent to kiss you. Buddha still under the bo tree in crouching heat. Adonai, Allah, raise your arms to Mary that she may lay her palm on your brow. To Shekinah, the queen of heaven and earth, or to Inanna in her stripped descent.
Then pray to the bus driver who takes you to work. On the bus, pray for everyone riding that bus, for everyone riding buses all over the world. Drop some silver and pray.
waiting in the line for the movie or for the ATM, for your latte or your croissant, offer you plea. May your eating and drinking a supplication, make your slicing of carrot a holy act, each translucent layer of the onions a deeper prayer.
To hawk or wolf or the great whale, pray. Bow down to terriers and shepherds and Siamese cats, fields of artichokes and elegant strawberries.
Make the brushing of your hair a prayer. Every strand its own voice, singing in the choir on your head. As you wash your face, the water slipping through your fingers a prayer. Water softens things on earth, gentleness that wears away rocks.
Making love, of course, is already prayer. Skin and open mouths, worshiping that skin, the fragile cases we are poured into.
If you're hungry, pray. If you're tired, pray to Gandhi or Dorothy Day, Shakespeare, Sappho, Sojourner Truth.
When you walk to your car, to the mailbox, to the video store, that's stating the poem, let each step be a prayer that we all keep our legs, that we do not blow off anyone else's legs or crush their skulls.
And if you are riding on a bicycle or a skateboard, in a wheelchair, each revolution of the wheels, a prayer as the earth revolves. Less harm, less harm, less harm.
And as you work, typing with a new manicure, a tiny palm tree painted on one pearlescent nail, or delivering soda, or drawing good blood into rubber-capped vials, twirling pizzas.
With each breath in, take in the faith of those who have believed when belief seems foolish, who perseveres. With each breath out, cherish.
Pull weeds for peace. Turn over in your sleep for peace. Feed the birds, each shiny seed that spills onto the earth, another second of peace. Wash your dishes. Call your mother. Drink wine.
Shovel leaves or snow or trash from your sidewalk. Make a path. Fold a photo of a dead child around your Visa card. Scoop your holy water from the gutter. Gnaw your crush.
Mumble along like a crazy person. Stumbling your prayer through the streets. See, at the end of the day, each one of us here are people of faith. We have faith in the deepest parts of our own humanity.
Yes.
That we can change the world, that we can create peace, that we, dear, tender humans, fallible, frustrated, foolish, can change the world. So let that be our prayer today.
Ashe.
Ashe. Lindsey, bring it on home.
Lindsey, bring us home.
Bring it on home.
Song that I wrote years ago called Superman. And it was wrapped around, there ain't no Superman anymore. You are the hero. You're my hero, and I hope I can be yours. It's the dawn of a new day, baby. Better make your own way if you can. You're on your own now, darling. There is no Superman no more coming to save your world. And tell all the bad guys bye-bye. All that you have left is yourself and your human desire for freedom. Human desire for freedom. Try not to walk lockstep. Walk to the cadence in your head, 'cause the world's dancing on to its own song. And I won't be no Superman to pull your butt out of the fire. All that you have left is yourself and your raging desires. Ain't no Superman to come to your rescue. All you've ever had was yourself and every reason to live now. Human desire to live. The human desire, yeah. Yeah, 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 now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's the dawn of a new day, baby. Take it in as much as you can. What you see is history. And the world won't be the same again. And there won't be no Superman telling you everything's all right. All you've ever had was yourself. You're the hero this time. No Superman at your beck and call. All you've ever had was yourself. And every reason to shine. Baby, baby. Every reason, yeah. Let me help you understand. You are more than a Superman. You're a hero, blood and bone. And this place here is your home. You were born to be the truth. Shining like a star, living proof. Leave those capes and shoes alone. You got powers of your own. Ain't no Superman. You are the hero. Ain't no Superman. More power to the people. Ain't no Superman. 'Cause you've got powers of your own. Thank you so much.
We've got power of our own.
We got blood and bone. We're heroes on our blood and bone. Yes. Thank you, Lindsey.
Yeah.
So we do have a few minutes, I think, for any questions.
Questions,
comments?
even just commentary. If anybody, I mean, we'd love to hear. I will ask that because we have some folk in the room, just keep it to a minimum of 3 minutes if you can. Thank you.
Ruby, do you have any comments?
Hi, Ruby. Do you have a question?
Watch the tale of mass destruction on the coffee table.
Right.
Okay,
I would love to hear.
Somebody over here.
I guess it's a comment, but yet also a question from this whole weekend. I came knowing I did some volunteering, but I had a lot to learn. And I guess I need some help with that next step, with the activism. I don't know if it's through our groups, through our site, because I feel like I don't know how to help in a lot of ways. So if there's some guidance on how to take that next step. I've learned a lot from different struggles of people this weekend, and I still feel like I don't really know how to take that next step.
You know, if I may, what your name, love?
I'm Angela.
Angela, thank you first. And I want to say that I love your earnestness. One of the things that I think is very important for people to engage with is to find out what they understand they need to bring, right? A lot of times when we're in these spaces, this is the service attitude. The service attitude says that I heard your struggle, so I don't know what to bring. right? Because you're looking at them to help them to elicit something in you. You have to know what you bring already. You have to value your human experience. You have to know you have a story, right? And so when you think about that story, you're able to offer your story with others. Guess what? Your story becomes your service, right? So there's a part of you that you have to unpack just for yourself, right? And then it will put you in relationship with those who see your value and how you serve.
And you just as you know, you actually did that last night. So, and I'm reminded of that African, I can't remember who said it, but the quote that says, if you want to help me, stay home. But if you see that your liberation is tied up in mine, then we can work together.
That part,
right?
that part.
So, to recognize that, and this is, I think, particularly for those of us who are white, who identify as cisgendered, that we're not, I don't even like to use the word ally. I like to use the word accomplice. I want to aid and abet in the struggle for liberation.
Yes.
And to see that all of our liberation is tied up in one another's.
Yeah. No, and that's very true. You know, I think that's one of the things. I hope that kind of offers something. But that our personal homework is so needed in this movement because we actually create more harm when we're not doing personal work and realizing our own value. You know, and then all of a sudden we're saying things, we're missing, you know, because we're not doing the internal stuff and being like, what do I actually bring? Why am I valuable to this movement? And it doesn't happen because you're looking to serve somebody who you feel is marginalized in your point of view, right? Because I've always said the oppressor has always been oppressed.
Right.
Just like Nelson Mandela says it very clearly.
That's absolutely true. And you know, the Christian nationalists who are anti-queer, anti-women, they're harming themselves with that. It's harming everyone, including the oppressors.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, and I just remember when the first Avatar movie came out, and I went to see it in the theaters, and I just was so in love with it, and I'm like, oh, this is such a beautiful movie of diversity, and then I get home to this huge critique about the white savior and the black magical person, you know, and I'm like, oh, I have to look at that another way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, being really reflective on who's present in the room, who's telling the stories, and whose voices are being allowed to be heard.
Yeah. Yes. There we go.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Someone from online wants to know what the name and author of the last poem.
Ellen Bass. Ellen, B-A-S-S, yeah. She's a brilliant poet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I'm John.
Thank you.
Yeah. The secular Buddhist Stephen Batchelor once said that we sail on the treacherous sea of words. And I think one of the problems we have in becoming more human as humanists is understanding the words we use.
Yeah.
And you talked about power and love, you know. And one of the things that we really try to do is empower people with their own humanity.
Yes.
Yes.
And love itself has power. So we got to be very careful when we say we either have love or power, because we desperately need both.
You're absolutely
right.
right.
And I'm wondering how you look at that, how you distinguish that, how you sail in that treacherous sea of words. I think people put their own meanings into things, and we have to really hear what people hear, what we say. And I just kind of wonder what your opinion is on all that. What your thoughts are.
I mean, I know you were reading that quote from Charlie Chapman,
Yeah,
so it does engage the idea of power and love. For me, yes, love is a power. I will tell you, I really avoid in this time today engaging power. Now, energy, cool, right? I know that's very hard for people, but because I'm very aware of the time that we live in, that when we use terms like power, it can be attached to privilege. That's why I said our identities are in proximity to toxicity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So here I am, a non-binary person, but at the end of the day, I know my proximity based off of appearance is I am male presenting, Now, me being male presenting means that I have the power of engaging my patriarchy. But if you run into me, I 9 times out of 10 don't really rest in the toxicity of patriarchy. And if I use it further in toxicity, right, I can use my leverage even further to create misogyny, right? But I have to be very aware of my identity and the power in which I hold. So when I think about your question, John, I will say I'm using a little bit of Carl Jung, which was, one of my favorite, psychologists who was doing really amazing work, just pointing out archetypes. I think the more that we do our best to shift the word power to position or posture or presence. Love is a presence. Love can have a posture. Love can have a position. And if we wanted to integrate power, I would be very careful in doing so in a world that has a hard time also seeing love. Because there is a thing nowadays called love bombing.
Yes, yes.
Love bombing
yes,
is a
indeed.
thing. People giving to the point where and then you owe me.
Yeah.
Because I've love bombed you so much.
Right.
And so love and power becomes toxic.
It totally is.
Right?
Totally toxic,
So
yeah.
I want us to, there is a tension there. So I hear your question. I think it's very important for us to do the listening work of hearing where we are when we talk about power in this time today. Because the experience in which you're talking now, John, I would tell you, honestly, I would think it would work in the time in which, you experienced the conversation of love as a power. Today, love has been really misconstrued, and people are having a hard time identifying what it looks like as a helpful power.
It's a healthy power, yeah. And I just want to say one more thing about how you identify that as male presenting, you can tap into the patriarchy, misogyny, but also as black male presenting, you put your life in danger.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a very complex issue. And Charlie Chaplin's quote, I really extrapolated on it, but his was, you only need power if you're going to do harm. And to take that power over other people, that's the power he was talking about. Certainly, I agree that the word power is very loaded nowadays, but that's something else we have to do, right? We have to look at the language we use and say, is this language useful anymore?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what John brings up, right? That's a good point. The idea that language we have, and that's, I mean, language is, it's relationship. James Baldwin says that language helps us find identity.
Yes.
Language also can divorce us.
Yes, and I'm reminded of, allegedly, St. Francis of Assisi said to his followers, preach the gospel at all times, if necessary, use words. In other words, our actions are where our love is revealed, and how we treat one another, how we treat ourselves. That's where the love is revealed.
We can take one more question.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah. Sure.
May I retort?
Add to the brilliance.
Yeah, I hear you, But also there's a kind of a simple definition of power. And it's the physics definition that you can apply to ourselves. It's the ability to do work. Mm-hmm. And if you don't give people the ability to do work, your love isn't going to go much further. So I think we have to be a little bit almost simple-minded about some of this, not read too much into it. And that's because it's a complex world. Yeah. And if we complicate it even more with our words, we're not going to get a hell of a lot done.
I hear a book in you, sir. Maybe the ethics of power.
There you go, right there.
I'm willing to go with the definition if you give me an ethic of power, which means we got to look at all the sides of it.
I think we have two more. Let's just take these last two.
Yes.
Okay.
I would love to hear your thoughts, Drew, by the way. Would love to hear your thoughts on those of us who might feel stuck in the pursuit of perfection. Just a little bit of context where this question comes from. Back 15 years or so ago, when I was an evangelical minister, and the larger, predominantly white church that I was on pastoral staff for down in the city of Chicago, we had some folks come in. They were advisors, consultants, things like that. And one thing they provided with us is, as they go off and they're studying all these churches of various compositions and backgrounds and goal sets and all these things, they gave us maybe a bit overly simplified, but they said, okay, generally speaking, white churches are all about strategy and spend so much time in the boardroom, in the conference room, doing their studies, doing their analyses, putting together the perfect way to accomplish what eventually one day they'll maybe start trying. Meanwhile, then, generally speaking, again, they contrasted that with the black church and how it's about, let's just go out and let's just do. And they provided generally speaking, pros and cons of each approach. And speaking then to us as a white church and as white church staff, saying, let's stretch towards being less stuck in the pursuit of perfection, and let's push ourselves to try and just get out and do a little more readily. So I'm wondering, I'd just love to hear your all thoughts on, for those of us who might feel a little stuck after this weekend in our pursuits, terrified of making mistakes. Because a lot of us, we want to do right, but we're scared to, kind of like what was being said earlier. So I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think we can put to our compass here is that we need to be okay with process. Being human means that we get to be in process. Being human means that we get to be in practice. Being human means that we get, right, to be human, right? People be peopling. Did you hear me? People be peopling. So when they are peopling, you've got to respect the fact that there's a process, right? And they're not going to be perfect, right? And you're going to have to commit to the process and the practice, not the perfection. Yep.
I would also say to that, perfectionism is a toxic symptom of white supremacy, and
yes,
it's easy for us to be paralyzed because we don't want to look foolish because we're not used to that. we don't want to look foolish. We don't want to make a mistake. We don't want people to say, "Oh my God, look at that idiot," and it's actually our privilege that allows us to stay in that paralysis. Where in the black churches or in communities of color, they don't have that option, so they're doing things because it's for their survival. So I would say. And I think you are the one who said this at the collaboratory day, if we look at maybe not being with the group because we feel like we belong, but we're becoming, that we're all becoming. And I'll tell you, a book to read that I think is really good is An Altering the World by Barbara Brown Taylor, she walked out of Christianity into, I don't know what she'd call herself, probably an agnostic, but her book, An Altering the World, gives kind of like spiritual disciplines in our lives, and one of her best chapters is practice the spiritual discipline of getting lost. In other words, if you always go to work this way, just deliberately turn left instead of right and see how that feels when you don't know where you're going and you don't use your GPS. You have to figure out a way to get home. Just do little practices like that so that you're purposely doing something that is going to cause you to fail in some way because it's not what you've always done.
I know I'm pushing on time, so Josiah, go ahead.
Last one.
Okay, I'm gonna make this as quick as I can. All right. So I'm taking my photographer hat off. I originally wanted to come to this convention specifically because I was so excited about the framework that Nadia brought in of no matter what AHA's agenda was, she was bringing in this framework of we are going to decolonize humanism and atheism. Mm-hmm. And at the ground level, at the level of the kinds of things that y'all are doing, I feel like I can still be excited about that.
Yeah.
At the institutional level of AHA, I feel like they've spent 82 years bringing up their role in the nonprofit industrial complex. Is there still a possibility of being excited about the prospect of decolonizing structurally AHA?
I will say this. I don't have a lot of weight in the AHA. I'm here because I was asked by Nadia and by Nicole to come in and do this work as a co-planner to the conference. But as long as I'm present, I will always focus on decolonizing because that is what we do. And we have to decolonize. What does that mean? That doesn't mean that you throw away a culture or anything. It means that you get yourself in check regarding how you engage your privilege, your power, your structures, even especially pushing on 1029 right now, and I know some people are squeezing in their toes. The reality is that this is part of the process. So when it comes to the AHA, I do believe that there is work, there's always going to be work to be done. I need us to commit to what decolonizing looks like. I need for us as an institution to begin to look at overall, and this is all across, right? This is, I'm with ethical culture, so this is across board.
Say it.
Okay, this is across board. Organizations are losing indigenous, queer, and trans folk because of the fact that they refuse to engage in decolonial methods. The main thing is not just the act of decolonization, but we have to also do a decoloniality, which is the mentality that we have fixed ourselves into a system of perfection, that we have fixed ourselves in using buzzwords, that we have fixed ourselves in being on brand and trend with what is happening, but we have no relationship. And so that is my thing. I think we need to get to a place where we deal with the framework of decoloniality, where we decolonize the mind, change the mind into really opening ourselves up to new possibilities that will make us uncomfortable, that will cause us to feel like we are going to die in our own existence. And trust me, I can guarantee you this, but I'm not interested in you dying. If anything, I'm interested in you growing. I'm interested in you being challenged. But I'm never going to scratch you off. I don't live in, I'll tell you now, I don't live in cancel culture. I live in a consequential culture.
Yes.
I want to call you in, bring you in, and I'll tell you the hardest thing and smile at you and love you in the process, called life. That's decolonizing.
And I want to add one more thing to that. I think Dave Warnock was when he used his term deconversion, right? He deconverted himself right from his Christianity. And that's what Jay's really talking about here. We have to deconvert ourselves from what the AHA has meant in the past. That white European culture of humanism. We have to no longer, we have to let that belief go. And we have to realize the escalator isn't the only way to go. And so if the escalator is broken right now, that doesn't mean we have to be stuck. And I'm brand new to the AHA, so I don't know any of the backstory, but it feels like the escalator got broke. And people are just like, well, now what are we going to do? We're stuck here. But no, we're not. We actually can create something new now. And we can decolonize, deconvert ourselves from the beliefs of white Western European humanism. And I'm going to quote another scripture. In the book of Proverbs, it says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And that's what Jay's talking about. We got to sharpen one another. We got to come in and hit the hard edges of ourselves. Yeah. But that's how we actually get sharper. That's how we get more acutely human in exercising our humanism.
And y'all just decolonized time. It is 10:33. Look at y'all. Y'all pulled a little something that, ooh. All right, so I'm going to just tell y'all right now, love yourself in the process called life. Enjoy yourself. I probably just lost my job today, but it's all good.
It's all good.